Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories that prove sometimes the storm outside isn't the scariest thing you should worry about. These are real accounts from real people who survived thunderstorms they'll never forget. Let's begin. My name is Nicole Mitchell, and what happened to me during the summer storm of 2019 still keeps me up at night. I was 23, living alone in a small rental house on the outskirts of Bend, Oregon. It was my first time living completely by myself, and I was proud of that independence. I should have been more careful. It was late August when the meteorologists started warning about an unusual storm system moving through the Pacific Northwest. I remember laughing it off. I'd lived through plenty of storms before, but this one felt different from the moment the sky turned that sickly yellow-green color around 9 p.m. I was curled up on my couch, binge-watching some crime documentary, when the power flickered once, twice, then died completely. The house plunged into absolute darkness. My phone was charging in the bedroom, of course, because why would anything be convenient during a power outage? I fumbled my way through the living room, using the occasional lightning flash to guide me. That's when I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 deliberate knocks on my front door. Now, I lived on a dead-end road with only 4 other houses, all of them at least 100 yards apart. My nearest neighbor was an elderly couple who went to bed at 8 p.m. religiously. There was no reason for anyone to be at my door, especially not in this storm. I stood frozen in my hallway, my heart hammering so loud I could hear it over the thunder. The knocking came again. Same rhythm, same intensity. Knock, knock, knock. Who is it? I called out, hating how shaky my voice sounded. Nothing, just the howling wind and the rain battering against the windows. I crept toward the door and pressed my eye against the peephole. A lightning flash illuminated my front porch, and I saw nothing. No one was there, but the knocking had been so clear, so close. Maybe it was a branch, I told myself. Just debris from the storm. I went to my bedroom, found my phone. Thank God it had enough charge, and used a flashlight to navigate back to the living room. I was trying to calm myself down when I heard it again, but this time, it wasn't coming from the front door. Knock, knock, knock. It was coming from my back door, the one that led to my fenced backyard. My blood turned to ice. Someone was moving around my house, in the middle of this storm, deliberately knocking on different doors. I dialed 911 with trembling fingers. The operator answered, and I whispered what was happening. She told me police were on their way, but advised me to lock myself in a room and stay quiet. The problem? I'd never installed a lock on my bedroom door. The knocking moved again, this time to my kitchen window. Knock, knock, knock. Then to my bathroom window. Knock, knock, knock. Whoever or whatever was circling my entire house, methodically knocking on every possible entry point. And they were getting faster, more aggressive. I huddled in my bedroom closet, phone clutched to my chest, listening to this thing make its rounds. The operator stayed on the line, but she sounded scared too. She kept asking if I could see anything, and I kept whispering no. Just please send someone faster. Then everything went silent. The knocking stopped. The storm seemed to pause. Even the wind died down. It was the kind of silence that presses against your eardrums, suffocating and wrong. That's when I heard my front door handle jiggle. I know I locked it. I always locked it. But the handle was turning, slowly, deliberately. Then I heard something that still makes my skin crawl to this day. A voice. A woman's voice speaking in a flat, emotionless tone. Nicole, let me in. It's cold out here. Nicole, I know you're home. How did she know my name? The door handle stopped jiggling. Footsteps moved across my porch. Then I heard tapping on my living room window, right next to where I'd been sitting just 20 minutes earlier. The tapping turned into scratching, fingernails dragging across glass. Police sirens finally cut through the storm. I've never been so relieved to hear that sound in my life. The scratching stopped immediately. By the time the officers searched my property, whoever it was had vanished into the storm. But here's what they found that I'll never forget. In the mud around my house, there were footprints. Barefoot prints. of someone who'd circled my house at least a dozen times during the storm. And on my back door, scratched into the wood with something sharp, were 3 words. Next time, Nicole. I moved out the next week. I later learned from my landlord that the previous tenant, a woman in her 20s, had left suddenly in the middle of the night about a year before I moved in. She never explained why. She never came back for her security deposit. I think I know why now. My name is Alex Reed, and I'm a storm chaser. Or at least, I used to be. After what happened in Oklahoma 3 years ago, I haven't photographed a storm since. It was May 2022, peak tornado season. My buddy Tyler and I had been tracking a supercell across the Oklahoma panhandle all day. We were experienced, we knew what we were doing, had all the right equipment, and never took stupid risks. That day, though, the storm system evolved faster than anyone predicted. By 7 p.m., we were caught between 2 storm cells that merged into something massive. The radar looked like nothing I'd ever seen. Tyler was driving, and I was watching the sky turn colors that don't exist in nature. That's when the tornado sirens started wailing. We were still 20 miles from the nearest town. The wall cloud was forming right above us. We had maybe 5 minutes before things got deadly. There, Tyler shouted, pointing at a farmhouse set back from the road. We need shelter now. We sped up the gravel driveway. The house looked abandoned, peeling paint, overgrown yard, windows dark. We didn't care. We grabbed our equipment and ran for the porch, just as marble-sized hail started pummeling down. The front door was unlocked. We burst inside, and I slammed it behind us. The house was dark and smelled like mildew and rotting wood. Wallpaper was peeling off in sheets. Dust covered everything. Basement. Tyler yelled. We found the door under the staircase. It opened with a horror movie creak, revealing wooden steps descending into absolute darkness. We didn't have a choice. The tornado sirens were deafening now. We could hear the freight train roar approaching. We ran down those steps into the blackness. The basement was freezing, way colder than it should have been. Our phone flashlights revealed a concrete room, maybe 20 by 20 feet, cluttered with old furniture covered in moldy sheets. There was a workbench along one wall, shelves filled with mason jars of God knows what. The storm hit the house like a bomb going off. The entire structure groaned and screamed. Dust and debris rained down from the floor joists above us. Tyler and I huddled under the staircase, the sturdiest spot. The roar was so loud we couldn't hear each other, even when we were screaming. Then, in the middle of that chaos, I heard something that made no sense. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps, coming from the far corner of the basement, in the darkness behind the covered furniture. I grabbed Tyler's arm and pointed my flashlight toward the sound. The beam swept across the draped furniture, catching glimpses of shapes underneath. The footsteps stopped. It's just the house settling. Tyler shouted in my ear, but houses don't settle with that rhythm. That pattern. The tornado passed over us. The pressure change made our ears pop painfully. But instead of relief, I felt pure dread because now, in the relative quiet, we could hear it clearly. Someone was breathing in the corner. Tyler's flashlight joined mine. We both pointed them toward the darkest corner. The beams shook because our hands were trembling. Behind an old dresser covered with a sheet, we saw movement. A hand emerged from behind the furniture. Gray, filthy, with broken fingernails. Then an arm. Then a face so covered in grime and matted hair, we couldn't tell if it was male or female. But the eyes caught our light and reflected it back like an animal's. Get out, the figure whispered, voice like grinding gravel. This is MY House. We didn't move. We couldn't. The figure stood up. It had been crouching there the whole time, maybe even before we arrived. It was wearing rotting clothes that might have been addressed decades ago. Its mouth opened, revealing almost no teeth. I said, "Get out," it screamed. Tyler and I bolted up those stairs. We burst through the basement door, into the destroyed first floor of the house. The tornado had torn off part of the roof. Rain was pouring in. We didn't care. We ran for our truck. I looked back once. In the basement doorway, silhouetted by our abandoned flashlights, stood that figure. just watching us leave. We drove straight to the sheriff's office in the next town. Between gasps, we explained what happened. The sheriff's face went pale when we described the location. "That's the Hendricks property," he said quietly. "Old Maggie Hendricks disappeared from that house in 2003. We found blood but never found her. House has been empty ever since. No power, no water, nothing." "She was definitely there," I insisted. "She was living in that basement." They sent deputies to check. They found evidence of someone camping in that basement. Food wrappers, bottles, waste buckets. But they never found whoever we saw. Here's the part that still makes me sick. The deputies checked the dates on some of the trash. Based on the degradation, someone had been living in that basement for at least 15 years. Surviving on what? I can't imagine. Hiding from what? I don't want to know. But the worst part? They found dozens of license plate numbers carved into the workbench, including ours. She'd been watching us from the moment we pulled up. We were never in danger from the tornado. We locked ourselves in a basement with something far worse. My name is Fidelis Chun, and I need to tell you about my best friend Jamie. Or rather, what came back pretending to be her. Jamie and I grew up together in coastal Maine. We were inseparable since kindergarten. The kind of friendship that feels like family. When we were both 16, we'd spend entire weekends exploring the rocky beaches and forests near our town. We thought we were invincible. It was July 14th, 2018. The date is burned into my memory. A summer thunderstorm rolled in from the ocean faster than expected. Jamie and I had hiked out to our favorite spot, an abandoned lighthouse about 2 miles from town. We'd done it 100 times. The storm caught us halfway back. Lightning was striking so frequently it looked like strobes. The rain came down in sheets. We were running through an open field when Jamie grabbed my arm. "Fidelis, we need to take cover. We're almost to the tree line." I shouted back. She pulled harder. "No, now." We ducked against a large boulder. The lightning was insane, striking all around us, thunder instantaneous. Jamie was laughing, the way she always did when she was scared, trying to make light of it. "This is crazy," she yelled, her hair plastered to her face. "We're gonna be fine." I yelled back, "Just a few more minutes." That's when I saw her face change. Her eyes went wide, looking at something behind me. She opened her mouth to scream. The lightning strike hit her before any sound came out. I've tried to describe that moment to therapists, to other people, but words don't work. It wasn't like the movies. There was a flash so bright it burned after images into my vision. A crack so loud my ears bled. And Jamie, my best friend, just collapsed. I dropped beside her, screaming her name. Her eyes were open but not seeing. There was a burn across her shoulder and down her arm where the lightning had traveled through her body and into the ground. I started CPR, begging her to breathe, but she was gone. The paramedics said I did everything right. The doctor said it was instantaneous, that she didn't feel pain. Her parents said it wasn't my fault. None of that helped. I blame myself every second of every day. The funeral was closed casket. I didn't go into school for 2 weeks. When I finally did, everyone looked at me like I was made of glass. The town was small, everyone knew. Everyone whispered. 3 weeks after Jamie died, my mom knocked on my bedroom door late at night. "Fidelis, honey, there's someone here to see you." I wasn't seeing anyone. I told her to send them away. She says she's Jamie. My blood froze. I yanked open the door. "That's not funny, Mom." But my mother looked terrified. She's on the porch. She looks like Jamie. She knows things about our house. "Fidelis, I don't know what to do." I pushed past her and ran downstairs. Through the front door window, I could see a figure standing on our porch. Same height as Jamie. Same build. Wearing clothes Jamie would wear. I opened the door. It was Jamie's face. But something was wrong. Her skin was too pale. Her eyes were just slightly too wide, like they couldn't close all the way. And when she smiled, it was too broad, stretching her face in a way that wasn't quite human. "Hey, Fidelis," she said in Jamie's voice. "Can I come in?" "You're dead," I whispered. "I watched you die." I got better. she said, tilting her head at an odd angle. Aren't you happy to see me? What are you? Her smile widened impossibly further. I'm your best friend. We're supposed to be inseparable, remember? You said that at my funeral. I heard you. My mom was crying behind me. Fidelis, close the door. Please close the door. Jamie, or whatever it was, held out her hand, the one that had been burned. The skin was smooth now, but had a faint glow to it, like St. Elmo's fire dancing across her fingers. I came back for you, she said. The lightning brought me back. It showed me things, Fidelis. Beautiful, terrible things. And I want to show you too. All you have to do is take my hand. I almost did it. God help me. I almost took her hand because I missed my friend so much. But then I noticed something. In the porch light, she had no shadow. Nothing at all. You're not Jamie, I said, stepping back. Jamie would never ask me to do something that scared me. The thing's smile disappeared instantly. Her face became blank, emotionless. Wrong answer. She turned and walked off our porch into the darkness. But before she disappeared completely, she looked back. I'll be waiting, Fidelis, for the next storm, and one after that. Eventually, you'll take my hand. They always do. That was 7 years ago. I've moved away from Maine, but it doesn't matter. Every time there's a thunderstorm, I see her, standing across the street, in parking lots. Once, outside my apartment window on the 4th floor. Always the same. Always waiting. Always smiling that too wide smile. My therapist thinks it's PTSD, grief-induced hallucinations. But I know better. Whatever came back that night, whatever wears my best friend's face, it's patient. And storms happen everywhere. 3 true stories, 3 thunderstorms, and 3 reminders that sometimes the real danger isn't from nature at all, but from what uses nature as a door to our world. If you have your own terrifying thunderstorm experience, share it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed these stories, make sure to like and subscribe for more true horror. Stay safe out there. And the next time a storm rolls in, maybe don't answer the door.